Hello and good morning, Manila. We are here for the final day of ESL One Manila 2016. Back at the Mall of Asia Arena, kicking things off today in the pre-show with me will be, of course, none other than Capitalist, Gods, and Purge. And we've had some amazing games so far.
We really have. This tournament has actually turned out to be so hype. The series last night to cap things off was mind-blowing, man.
Yeah, I mean, we came in, you know, everyone was talking, we don't know what to expect. Maybe the teams are pretty even. How is it going to pan out? But I think yesterday, all the matches, really, all the series, all 4 series that we had, really summed it up perfectly, is that it's still anybody's game.
And it's just all the upsets we've seen as well. We come to the last day, you don't have Secret in the tournament, you don't have eHome in the tournament, 2 of the biggest named teams leading up to this, and all of a sudden it's like, well, what happened? Like, the storylines with some of these newcomers like Team Empire, Wings, has just been phenomenal.
And even the upsets that have been happening, you're still seeing some kind of weird picks and strategies. The meta is still further developing, and that's so much fun to watch. It makes it even better.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. For those guys who weren't able to catch all of the action yesterday, we're going to have a quick recap, and then we'll dive a little bit deeper into our thoughts going into the semifinals and the final day of ESL One Manila.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Manila for ESL Manila in the heart of the Philippines.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's show some love for our very own Mineski Sports!
Coming back in with the crush, Limp as well with the cool 1-2. Bog, he's going to go down to die back on the Nature's Prophet. Jules trying to get himself back, but he's got as well.
And Reggie Potato, he's going to get picked off.
Complexity clearing out the Megas and G. It's a lot of money, but there's Raging Potato in with the double kill. Silence on to 2. The ancient falls to GG. Well played, Mineski.
Highlighter's going to be duped up, but everything's all set up for Puppy to come in for the Echo Slam. Live's going to be run down by Artur. The Burundal comes in, and they're just planning to wipe eHome if possible. There it is, a buyback for the Wyvern, but you can't stop Secret. It'll end on a good old 3-2-2 for game number 1 between Secret and eHome. Did Secret step their game up?
Also just showing what potential this team actually has.
Martese keeps running forward. He saves one hero. He's going to target the next. Takes out the Oracle. Now turns his attention onto Old Chicken, waiting on him as his ultimate's going to end up going down soon. Another GG.
Still fighting around, Diffuser Blade down onto Limp. Limp take a lot of damage to the right, thinks he gets on the double game just in time. Limp falling up as well, trying to escape. Limp for the Fisher from Eyesight, he'll get it. They want to end this one, Wings. They found themselves at 4. Swindles, the last man standing in. GG.
They know exactly where he is. Scanning loses a little bit. Helmet there, she is! The big black hole! Ball from Cohen with the stun ball! They've got him! Secret, you are getting live from this one! The black hole! Spectre! The black hole! No! The ball is done! They're gonna lose everything! The round from universe! Trash straight on me! The door down the energy! Team Secret! Maybe they've got this! But no! Here comes Paposhka! The damage is there! Envy! They're burning, but it's not enough! Team Secret! They'll lose more! The turnaround for the Rubik was massive! And Team Secret on a knife edge now!
And like that, we're down to 4 teams. That last fight, though, that still lives on. I mean,
It gets the blood pumping,
Yeah,
huh?
watching that again and again, you keep finding just new parts of the fight that you didn't know, because there was a lot happening. And for both teams to be able to last that fight out that long until, of course, in the end, we see Empire just sweeping it in, taking that win. What a way to wrap up day 2 here in the arena. Absolutely phenomenal.
Dude, that was a game where you got like 5 amazing clips for a highlight reel, and it had them all in the same game. Usually you're lucky if you get 1 in a single game. But that was like 5 huge black holes, team fights from both sides. Really good game.
Yeah, overall really shows the level of play. So if you have been following, you know exactly how these teams got here. But if you missed a couple games here and there, how did the group stages play out? How do we have the brackets we have today, this morning? As we go into the semifinals, let's check it out. Of course, day 1, we had the group stages played. Liquid takes that sweet 4-0. They secured the spot, and they've been waiting here for Championship Sunday with the first seed of Group A. Meanwhile, in Group B, we saw Fnatic, in fact, going also 4-0, taking down eHome and Empire. And again, all of the these teams looked good. Wings and Empire both made it back into the semis, and they looked phenomenal yesterday. But Liquid and Fnatic won on day one during the group stages. These are the brackets for yesterday. The lower bracket of each group to find out who the second seed is. Lots of close games, as you can already tell by the score, but eventually it's actually Wings taking down Complexity, who seem to try to come back with a vengeance. And of course, a redeemed Secret, but still not strong enough just yet because Empire came here to play. Empire showing just what their talent pool is really made of. And now that we have these teams from yesterday's games, I mean, I guess if you put it in retrospect, it's not, any team wouldn't have been a big surprise, but would you say maybe Empire taking down Secret in that fashion was the biggest surprise, also just because of how hyped the game was? Or is it Wings and how they played against Complexity?
I think Wings has been kind of like the silent team as far as going through the bracket unnoticed, coming in suddenly they're in the semifinals. For Empire, they did it with a bang. They took out Team Secret. They had one of the probably best games of Dota we've seen the entire year. So Wings, to me, has been just as much a crazy story as Team Empire has been, but they've just done it in a much more quiet fashion.
Yeah, Wings is definitely over a longer period of time, definitely. I would say that Wings, they've shown some strength before this LAN event, and like some of the qualifiers that we've seen, that Wings definitely had the capabilities to take on some of the tougher teams in this tournament. I think that Empire was definitely, for me, the bigger surprise, just because, I mean, hey, we started off this tournament with the conversation, you know, should Empire even be here? And, well, they sure as hell answered that, didn't they?
Yeah, there was a lot of talk around that, but in terms of actual play, I mean, there's no question about it now. Right, Perch?
Yeah, Empire definitely was the team for me that surprised me the most. They take out one of the favorites for the tournament, and now you're talking about should Empire just get a direct invite to the next major? And it's definitely a question if they can get potentially top 2 or even win this LAN, and they looked good enough to do it. If they can go that far, this could just be the chain of events that gets them into a tier 1 team.
Yeah, it's always interesting, the events that lead up to a major. There's always talk about, all right, who gets the invites, how does this work? But there's always these teams that seem to just turn it on towards the last minute, and that makes it hard for everyone to try to have this like universal decision or at least opinion coming into it. But now it's down to 4 teams, right? So let's take a look at the matchups. We have the semifinals and the finals awaiting us today. And it's gonna be the first one up. It's gonna be Fnatic versus Wings, and Liquid has been waiting, and they'll be facing off against Empire. So let's talk briefly before we go into these matchups and we start the amazing games that are waiting for us. Fnatic and Liquid, they had a day to rest. We didn't get to watch them yesterday because they had a sweet performance on day one. What are your expectations for these two teams?
I have pretty high expectations for Liquid. They went home last night the same time as me. It was like 11:30 p.m. They had been here all day, didn't play a single match, practicing, studying replays, watching games. I have high expectations for them. They have great teamwork, and though Empire's been playing really well, they're definitely, Liquid is the more favored in that matchup.
Okay. For me, there's a lot of kind of, maybe not pressure on Fnatic, but there's a lot of expectations because, yeah, they're not playing with Mushi, but they've already shown that despite not having Mushi, they can get the big results here on LAN. And I think that, to me, was the biggest question mark is, yes, Fnatic, they're always good in the online matches, but Mushi is kind of that stable player that you look to. Like, when you're in a high-pressure situation, you look at him like, what are we going to do? And he has an answer. He's still coaching the team, which I think is the key factor here in Manila, and this Fnatic team looked like they could be unstoppable until they meet Liquid in the finals.
Yeah, if you want to compare Fnatic to another team within its own region, I would say, like, if you make the comparison to MVP Phoenix, right, one of the other strongest teams within their region, I would say that MVP Phoenix always steps up their game. Like, every single time when they come to a LAN event, I would say Fnatic don't do quite as much, right? But if they can prove it here in a semifinal, that gives us a lot more hope for Fnatic in future LAN events, that they can actually be a consistent, like, you know, top 4 team when it comes to majors or something like that.
We heard from Purge saying, you know, Liquid probably still favored in their matchup against Empire. What about then the first one we have in the semis? It's going to be Wings going up against Fnatic. I mean, Wings seemed pretty darn strong. Do you think that, therefore, it's more of a toss-up, or do you think maybe even Wings is favored against Fnatic right now?
I would heavily go Fnatic on that one. Well, not heavily, but I think Fnatic
Still
coming in as favorites. Yeah, absolutely. I think Wings were kind of scrappy in how they competed against Complexity, and that's how they got through. That team like Fnatic, to me, is just going to play more well-rounded Dota. They're going to not make the same mistakes that we saw out of Complexity from time to time.
Yeah, I could agree completely. In their match previously, they did very well against Liquid. They played better than them at some stages of the game, but they fell short in other stages. So I think they have really good potential, but their consistency isn't completely there just yet. But they definitely can win.
Okay. Kat, what about you?
I agree with my 2 other analysts here. I think that Wings, there's definitely some points of weaknesses that I believe Fnatic will be able to exploit. I think that in general, this series, at least in my head, is a bit closer than the Liquid versus Empire one, but I still favor Fnatic.
All right. Well then, I mean, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but would you say then Liquid sitting pretty comfortably as the big favorite out of the 4 teams left right now in the semis?
I wouldn't say big. I would say slight to moderate.
Yeah.
I would definitely say they're the favorite. They're the strongest team. They've been together for a very long time. They had great performance the last LAN. They're looking about the same, if not better. They're adjusting a little bit from their picks from then. I would say they're the favorite. I just wouldn't say strong. I just wouldn't be completely surprised if they didn't win.
Would you say percentages, if you had put percentages on it, would you say percentages are more in favor of Liquid than it is for Fnatic for you guys?
In that semifinals, or
Yeah,
to win
no, just in the semifinals.
I feel more confident about Fnatic winning than Liquid personally. I think.
okay.
I just think Empire have this huge momentum just because of that factor. Like I look at how well Empire played to beat Secret, and if they can play like that against Liquid, like I think Liquid could be in for a challenge. I think Fnatic are versing a team. Wings, yeah, they won yesterday. There's some momentum in their favor, but they did so in a very kind of sloppy, scrappy fashion. I think Fnatic are just going to match up well just based on playstyle. So to me, Empire have a good shot to make the series against Liquid competitive.
So that side of the bracket looking more like a battle of execution and the actual play today in their semis rather than the other side where you're saying Fnatic probably just coming in feel a lot better knowing that, hey, the way we play this game, we're going to have a hand up, so now we just have to make sure we don't make mistakes. Is that the summary?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't make that very clear. I was asking you.
Yeah.
I was kind of summarizing, but I'm not going to speak for you on your behalf. So.
No,
Too late.
Statements out there. That's what got said.
You just do our jobs for us, Choba. You can just keep the camera on you the whole time. And
I was just reiterating everything you say, and then that would be the statement. So I'll just tweak small details here and there. Then talking about Liquid, I mean, is it for Empire? You're saying it's also just given what we saw, obviously, and their level of play and how perfect they had to play, how meticulously they had to perform yesterday to beat Secret. Is Liquid? Let's say they win, right? Are they afraid in terms of style in facing up either against Fnatic or Wings?
I don't think so. I think Fnatic and Wings, they do have some slightly weird picks. Occasionally, Wings will draft offlane Weaver to be really strong in the early game. But I don't think it's anything so weird. Honestly, all the teams left, I think, are all drafting pretty similar, but with some subtle differences. So I don't think the playstyle is really something you worry about. Maybe if they're playing against Mineski, that's definitely something I would worry about because they played so aggressive in the early games. But against the remaining teams, I think everybody sticks to their style, pick what they think works, and make sure that they don't draft anything too weird.
All right. Well, we've heard some thoughts right now, but of course, we're going to have to find out when we go into the game. I'm not going to ask for like straight score predictions or anything. We talked about kind of overall favorites, but are we all in agreement then? Maybe a Fnatic Liquid final, the most likely? And is that going to be the same fireworks we saw? Because yesterday, almost every game felt like a grand final. I mean, we saw in the recap like the entrance from Secret. Obviously, that last game lived up to, I mean, some people are saying, I mean, this is going to be definitely in the top few games of this year, maybe even just because of how it panned out. What do you guys think today? Just the same thing in store?
I think just because we're all favoring the same teams, I don't think the audience should take that as like, oh man, Liquid must be heavily favored. For me personally, I wouldn't put any of these, like, if I lay down percentages, I don't think that it's either of these matchups are more than like 65% at most. Like, I don't think the favored team is so far favored. I think God's brought up a really good point. Like, I prefer, I think the Liquid has a little bit more margins over Empire, but Empire are building up a lot of steam, right? And this matchup for me is even closer than the other side. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity for us to see the exact opposite teams that we're, we're predicting in the finals.
It's possible.
Well, here's the thing. On day one, everyone slept on Empire, like, oh, this is a team that maybe shouldn't be here. On day two, everyone's like, yeah, they beat Secret once, but Secret maybe needs to find their form. Everyone's like, yeah, Secret's probably going to still win. I had Winter next to me, like, yeah, they're going to just 2-0 them today. Day two, we slept on Empire. Do we make the same mistake and say, Empire, oh, they're going up against Liquid, they're going to get beaten again? I don't think we should anymore.
Yeah, I mean, they've proven themselves for sure. Any last thoughts from you, Purge, before we start jumping into these games?
Yeah, I completely agree. The margins are an advantage for them, but it's not huge. It could go any way. All the players that are left over are extremely talented, and I'd love to see upsets.
All right. Well, we had some time for the fans to also fill up the arena. Still a lot filing in, but it's time to start the game. Still plenty ahead of us. 2 semifinals and then the finals to determine who's going to be lifting up that trophy. Ladies and gentlemen, the first matchup of the final day here at ESL One Manila 2016 will be the semifinal between Fnatic and Wings.
Welcome to the final day of ESL One Manila. Let me hear you, Motivational Arena. So much love for all the teams that have been here, of course, throughout these 3 days. Thank you so much, guys, for all of that. We are here at our final day. I know it's a little bit early, but ladies and gentlemen, let's kick things up on a high note. Make some noise, Manila! Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for our first team for our semifinal match. Making their way to the stage, we have Wings! Ladies and gentlemen, making their way to the stage, Team Wings. Show them some love, come on. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the final day. Here we go. All right, up next, ladies and gentlemen, a team from Southeast Asia. We have a lot of love for our local team, Mineski, but we have one player who is also our very own. So we're gonna grab onto that. We're just letting you know it's gonna be emotional. Ladies and gentlemen, making their way to the stage, let's hear it for Fnatic! Ladies and gentlemen, Fnatic on stage. Let's hear it for them. Here we go. Team Fnatic, Team Wings, semi-final for the final day of ESL One Manila. Let's hear it for our two teams. Let's do this. Throwing it back to our expert desk. Good luck, guys.
The two teams now on stage, and let's talk first about Fnatic. Again, we didn't have a chance to dive deeper into their lineup and their playstyle yesterday, of course. I mean, because they performed so well on day one. Earlier we talked briefly about why they're favored overall. Any players or any certain, maybe even part of the draft that you guys are looking forward to or expecting to see?
I think with Fnatic, the key player has always been DJ. This guy is, I mean, I'm not saying this because we're in Philippines. He is the best player in Southeast Asia.
He really is.
I think that goes without, in my mind, without a doubt. He is just phenomenal. He plays the full position support role. He's active on the map. He does more damage, as far as overall team damage output, he does more than any other full position player out there. He is just incredible on any hero you put him on.
You know how I know he's a star? When you asked that question, you were like, any player, or maybe even heroes? We're like, I knew it was like, it's players, it's players. And I know which player. Every single one of us is going to be like, DJ, DJ, DJ. That guy's just insane.
Yeah, I mean, that is how you know that you have someone of that caliber. I mean, Purge, anything to add on to that? I mean, or is it just, hey, let's focus on DJ, let's talk about DJ, and let's look forward to his play in this matchup?
Anytime anyone ever talks about DJ, I just remember all of the KDL matches that he wrecked us in Korea. Like 2 years ago, he was easily one of the best players as soon as we got there. We always talk about the game where Aosin played Clockwork versus DJ's Nature's Prophet, and he had like phase with a Shadow Blade and a Midas at like 12 minutes, and we were like, Aosin, what happened, man? DJ wrecked you. He wrecked you, and I expect to see more of that today. It's a little bit less flashy since he usually plays a lot of Chen Enchantress. He does play a little static in the jungle at the start, but he's very active with his creeps. He does a lot of stacking, he'll catch up later, and he does create a lot of map pressure.
And the thing with Fnatic is they've now like made this team that works so well. Like we're not even talking about players like Mid1, who is one of the most like mechanically skilled mid laners coming out of Southeast Asia as well. Ohio, who's taken over the in-game shot calling for this team, who's really kind of filled like the big shoes of Mushi, and then you bring in 343, who's kind of come from the outside. He's actually the drafter for this team, and that's been, to me, one of the Fnatic's biggest weak points in previous tournaments has sometimes been the drafting. It's been a bit of a letdown. And now with Mushi in the coaching role, 343 drafting, I feel like they've got everyone in the role that suits them perfectly on this Fnatic team.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you brought up the topic of Ohio, and of course the crowd cheering as we see the lineup and the teams getting ready. We saw the huddle from Fnatic, but we did have a chance to speak to Ohio himself a little bit earlier in the week and see what he thinks about Fnatic here at ESL One Manila 2016.
Of course, we get the top 6 in Shy Major, but actually we never expect so much because before the tournament, we are not getting ready yet. It means we lost a lot in scrimming. But during the tournament, we learned a lot of things from other teams and we improved ourselves immediately. So this is a good thing for us because we gain a lot of confidence. Example, our play style, our team spirit, all of the things we have improved a lot. So it's very good. Mushi will be coaching us this tournament, and we find him to be our coach because he has a lot of experience in Dota 2. Example, the gameplay, the play style of team spirit. He always will teach us a lot what we should do and about the outside game, what we have to do, like the mentality when you're playing the tournament. During the tournament, you do not have to nervous and just be calm, and you can playing has a good performance every games. We have more confidence right now, so every tournament we always aim for the top 3 because we know we can do it and we have much more preparation for the future.
There were some thoughts from Ohio himself, noting, all the changes that we talked about, 343 coming in, and then Mushi also still at the helm, just not in the hot seat right now in the booth. So that's Fnatic. Before we jump into the draft, the players are pretty much almost ready. Let's briefly give the spotlight back to Wings too, because we mentioned in the pre-show, like, hey, they played well yesterday, but they played quite well, and Complexity threw some curveballs at them, and one of them, of course, caught them off guard. But then Wings was like, oh, okay, all right, like we see how you want to play. We'll bring back, full gear, make sure we secure this win to make our spot in the semifinals.
So it was really a series where we saw a lot of kind of cheesy picks or like strategies. Those the Ancients infesting lifesteal. Game 3 was actually a safe lane farming Venomancer, which had a huge impact. As far as teams left that can pull out unconventional picks, I think it is Wings.
Okay.
And that Game 3 was a bit weird as well. It didn't really feel like there was ever a 5-on-5 team fight. There weren't that many skirmishes. It was just a lot more straightforward in a lot of cases. But the Veno strat really did work out great, and it stopped a lot of the pressure.
Yeah, we're taking a look at some of their play from yesterday. Of course, they had their chance on the stage. Cap, any strong impressions from yesterday's games from Wings?
One of the strongest things, oftentimes the biggest thing that I look at when teams match up is their play styles and how I think that how they end up kind of clashing against each other. And I think that one of Wings' strongest points was that I think their drafting is really interesting, and that is obviously one of their biggest strengths, but I think the other one within the game is actually their reactive playstyle. I think they're actually incredibly good as a team at being able to deal with aggression. And that is, if we're all talking about DJ, right? If we're talking about how he is so impactful as a player, and he's going to be playing that Chen Enchantress role, he's going to be doing something like that, he's going to be setting up the laning phase for success. Wings need to have a really good reactive playstyle in order to deal with that kind of intrusion.
All right, and we saw some of those highlights. Yeah, the Veno, of course, we have Merlini kind of waiting to see that happen, and we saw the power of it. We saw why it is banned out sometimes when they're playing the region. In fact, much more often than you'd expect. but it has been shown now. So do we see them maybe also saving it? It's like, hey, this isn't something that we are always going to go, and it's not going to be a crutch. Or do we also just see it maybe even banned out as we see the draft going through? It's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day of Dota. Wings versus Fnatic, the first semifinal. All players in their seats. Draft's just about going down. So we've had some other heroes come up, right? You guys have been mentioning the Chen and Enchantress. Do you think that's high priority enough that ban it out? I mean, we've seen Enchant just being priority overall in both bans and picks for all teams this weekend so far.
DJ is quite a hard player to like ban against because he plays the Earth Spirit as well. So there's never like a clear, obvious hero to ban against him, I feel.
That's like 3 top-tier heroes that he plays extremely well. Like, a lot of teams, they don't worry about the Chen too much. Usually see it banned second round kind of a thing. But I honestly feel like he's as big of a threat offensively as the Enchant as he is on Chen. Whereas some other teams get a bit behind, then you just kind of have a healer, send back guy running around. But he gets ahead, and he puts that pressure on the lanes, and it gives everybody a better shot at just dominating mid-game, and then it feels the same value as an Enchantress. So I think he will be a hard player to ban out. I'd love to see some Earth Spirit. We've barely seen it all when we got to the actual lane.
Yeah, people have been pretty scared to play against it. And then there have been games where it just completely passed through.
Like the complexity games.
Yeah, in the complexity games, going unnoticed against me. So we'll see if that comes up. But now that you guys have brought that specific point up, then what do you think is your preference? I mean, do you try to ban it out and maybe take a hero, or do you just say, hey, it's like too hard, we just accept the fact that DJ's going to perform, let's find some other strengths and weaknesses that match up?
I think Kat made a good point where Wings is probably one of the few teams who is more reactionary in the draft compared to others. They don't really have like a clearly defined, this is their picks and play style. They're not like a Fnatic or like a team that everyone will always talk about, like Alliance. You know what they're going to pick against you. It's just whether you can beat it. With Wings, they will respond to what Fnatic go to. So if you're in their position, I think perhaps the scariest is going to be just keep banning out the Earth Spirit. You haven't had a chance to verse it, but we'll find out now.
Yep, the Enchantress does go through, and Fnatic, no hesitation there, picking that up for their own team. The other band, Invoker, coming back into the band. Saw a lot of Invoker play yesterday.
I could definitely see an Earth Spirit come out for Wings here. It's actually one of the highest win rates on them. I think they're very capable on it. It will also help offset the fact that Enchantress will be pressuring other lanes. Earth Spirit can give as much advantage in a lot of cases towards roaming, as long as he isn't in the same lane as the Enchant. If you hit like mid lane while Enchantress has creeps bottom or something like that, it can potentially net you a kill. And even in the mid game, it's a lot of nuke damage that can help offset Enchantress's tankiness. Ooh, that's very bold, because and normally in a Chen Enchantress fight, Enchantress beats him out because you can steal creeps more readily than Chen can.
But there has been a continual trend in China that some teams are willing to pick up the Chen into Enchantress. We've seen, like I keep going back to Ice in the way that they'll always pick up an Ice Chen into all these Enchantresses. And it surprised me. I kept going like every single time. I'm like, why are they doing this? But it does really feel like the Chen, there are some really big strengths where you're able to throw so many creeps at one. When you go for that push, right, it just happens all at once. The Enchantress is not capable of dealing with that. Even if it comes to stealing an individual creep, she's not going to be able to stop these pushes from going through. So I like this opening from Wings. The Chen, Nature's Prophet, I personally would have preferred the Beastmaster just because I want to keep that out of hands of Fnatic. Beastmaster, Enchantress, one of the strongest dual lanes out there you can counter.
The benefit of the Nature's Prophet is it's like that active tempo controller early on where you can TP around, because Chen isn't going to be able to gank him. So to me, like, I think it's a key point you talk about, where Chen, when you go for the push, you go all out. You have 3-4 creeps there. Enchantress can maybe steal one, you can steal it right back. But on top of that, Chen has the mech and the Hand of God. So dealing with a push as Enchantress isn't all that feasible. So Chen can play passively the early game, but a hero like Nature's Prophet can step in, find those kill opportunities, help rotate around, and like alleviate some of the pressure from Fnatic.
So we can already see the timing of these two teams, right? Is that Wings is going to be like very much 10 to 20 minutes where they're going to be trying to take as many objectives, maybe securing themselves even an early Roshan if the opening is presentable. While Fnatic are going to be, at least with this opening 1-2, is going to be much more like 30 minutes where you get the Beastmaster with the Necronomicon, you start getting Enchantress, some big amount of damage. But Fnatic's other timing is also going to be in the first like 10 minutes with the Enchantress. That's the really disruptive factor, and this is why 4 positions, good disruptive 4 positions are like one of the most valuable things in this patch, right? Because we talked about it early on. You can't just ban away. It's not like the first 2 bans going to be able to deal with it. You've got Chen, Enchantress, Bounty Hunter, Earth Spirit. There's so many heroes in the first phase that you can pick that are still able to have the same sort of impact.
All right.
That was made even worse by the fact that Fnatic banned an IO. So they didn't even take one of those 4 heroes out. They just left so many in the pool.
And that was one of the things that Wings was really good, right? At being able to deal with disruptive playstyles, that they were able to get themselves like really strong dual lanes.
Yeah.
And in that factor, the Wisp was really beneficial to them.
less roaming, more dual laney, just strong lanes that are good at pressuring everywhere at once, then that's 3 semi-dangerous lanes. If your opponents do a tri-lane, then yeah, maybe they'll win that 1 lane, but your dual lanes can really limit the amount of farm that your carry normally gets, and it's going to throw your whole game off.
Going to the second phase, we did see Puck and Jericho being banned out by Wings. The Dro coming out as a ban this time from Fnatic. Saw some play yesterday from the hero, and then Witch Doctor being banned out once again.
And Cap talked about the 10 to 20 minute timing. Having a Dro Ranger in the mix means really fast pushing, easy access to Roshan, and you can just snowball out of control, assuming your early game lanes go well enough.
We call it a lineup that's just easy to execute.
Right.
You know, it's not a whole lot of complication to it. You can play the lineup relatively easy.
Well, Lion picked up as one of the best answers to an Enchantress, and also just a stable support to have in any game, but when you're against Enchantress, it has even more value to pick up.
And you lack disables as well, so like disables plus burst damage, it's everything you want. And it just so happens to be one of the supports that can deal with Spectre jumping on him. If you're fast enough, you can even kill that illusion before Spectre jumps you.
Yep, a little bit of a scary game for Nature's Prophet here on the way out. Beastmaster, very good at finding him. Spectre, also pretty good at finding Nature's Prophet.
And Spectre pretty good in Fnatic's hands. I think they're currently 13-0 now after a win earlier in the tournament on this current patch. They are unbeaten with Spectre, and I think it's a hero that suits Net incredibly well as a support player transitioning over the carry role. He can just get involved so easily. I mean, not to like criticize Net too much as a player, but it is a kind of easy to execute carry. You can play around your captain, your shot call. They're saying, look, you've got Haunt coming up, let's smoke up like 20, 30 seconds before you've got Haunt, engage, Spectre haunts in, cleans up, and it just suits Fnatic's playstyle really well.
Yeah, I really like the trend of supports going to carries, because supports are very gank-minded, I feel like, at all stages of the game. They know how to set up kills, they know where to look on the map. Carries usually more focused on farming, but when you put a support on a hero like Spectre, you're constantly looking for those kills. Every time Haunt is up, you're looking at the map, looking for those opportunities, and I really feel that suits their playstyle really well.
Okay, yeah, a bit of a murmur in the arena too when we saw that Spectre being picked up. Of course, we had a splash yesterday in a separate game coming out from Empire. So now, ball back in the court for Wings. What are we looking at here to round out their lineup so far? I mean, is there anything glaring that you think they need to pick up?
They need a carry that can deal with Spectre. That's usually the important thing. Sometimes there's a lot of carries that don't always match that very well. You'll need somebody that has a lot of single target damage. If you pick something like a Gyro, it can work if there's not a lot of stuff there, but once the Manta comes out, it's a lot harder for a hero like Gyro to deal with Spectre. So Wind Ranger is a good solution. You can focus fire with a damage item, and you can actually kill the Spectre.
Lots of things to shackle off with, like the Beastmaster board, the Enchantress creeps too.
Yep.
The carry that always comes to mind to me against Spectre is Juggernaut. That to me is perhaps the best like carry versus carry matchup that you can have against Spectre, but they're not picking out fourth. Still an option for them as that fifth pick.
Sometimes it's hard to be able to nail down the right hero, but I think the overall idea is what we're going for is high tempo heroes and also high ground heroes. Those are like if you want to look at the Venn diagram, you know, sort of deal, this is what they kind of need to be able to fill out, because Fnatic have a rather dangerous mid to late game. But this Pugna does shore up some early problems for Fnatic that maybe at that 20-minute marker they start getting pushed down, but now they have what is a pretty solid tower defending hero and can also put pressure early on as well.
I really like this pick here. I mean, Decrepify, it doesn't work very well versus Lion, but against Prophet, Wind Ranger, and Chen, they can really mitigate a lot of that damage coming out, not to mention the high casting cost that everybody on the Wings lineup has right now. So the Netherward's going to be really effective in this game.
And you kind of talked about, or Cap did, about how the first timing Fnatic is that first 5-10 minutes of the game with the Enchantress rotations. Well, Pugna is a hero that can actually take very fast tier 1 towers with the Nether Blast. So second time we've seen Fnatic pick up the Pugna in this tournament, it's already won them 1 game. So looking forward to see it again.
It's making me think you almost need a carry that is able to output some magic damage, or that is able to have almost a Diffusal Blade style hero. And it is a magic damage carry.
Okay.
Necrophos.
Rounding out the roster for Wings.
A bit rough against the Pugna Void having a Necrophos.
Oh, that's true, yeah. So you'll take like 185 damage times 1.5 every time you press Death Pulse.
You want to throw a Veil in there somewhere?
I mean, Pugna definitely will throw it into his build, that's for sure.
I mean, I think both sides will, right? It's also going to be the danger of like, oh, I'm going to save this person from being focus fired, Decrepify, and then Necrophos walks in. He's like, What up?
On the bright side, they can always teleport Nature's Prophet in. They find where the Netherward is while the fight starts, TP's in, summons Treants, hits it 2-3 times, it will die. So they have some decent way to break up the Netherward, but depending, Fnatic could put it a really good place. Fast Aether Lens, you can put it on cliffs, things like that. It can definitely be a big problem. For Fnatic's last pick, I think they really need some kind of a nuke damage, because right now they don't, the decrep from Pugna doesn't really synergize with anything. They don't have to do this, maybe better to focus on having an overall good team dynamic, but right now that skill doesn't really help much more other than defensive.
Yeah, it's just the port to go with the Spectre. You could even go for like a Dazzle. Yeah, it's not that nuke damage, but it's a way of dealing with the Reaper from the Necrophos. So you can save whoever's getting Reapered.
It might not be terrible, because you can always life drain afterwards, potentially.
Yeah. If Fnatic lose game 1, I'm like almost completely certain that the Pugna is going to be the weak point in their draft.
Okay.
Yes. I think the 4th pick Pugna was unnecessary. They could have just picked up their support and made their lineup look and feel rather normal for this patch. And the Pugna has some very obvious weaknesses to exploit.
Unless it's a support Pugna.
It's actually super ass against
I mean, yeah, exactly. That's the thing, right? It could be a support or a mid Pugna. But I think either way, even the support Pugna has, like, it's just bad to be able to like help out the Spectre early on. You could almost see like Wings at that point in time run sort of aggro. If it is a support Pugna, put pressure on the Spectre because you can't help her out. And if it's the mid Pugna, you're going to be feeling a lot of pressure in that mid lane from the Furion and Chen.
I like the Venge last pick. It'll help offset the Pugna that usually dies pretty fast, so it'll blend really well.
Okay, all right, well, we've seen it. You guys have commented kind of on what you like specifically on both sides, but any roster standing out as a better favorite here between these two in the very first game?
I like the Fnatic one personally. I mean, the Pugna's a little bit weird, but the other 4 heroes I have are super standard. I like the Wings lineup as well, but it's definitely weirder. The fitting the Necron, it's definitely a more rare hero.
I think Fnatic with Spectre is just like their bread and butter. That's what they needed in game 1.
All right, Cap, what about you? Final thoughts before we jump right in?
It's hard to say no to Fnatic Spectre, but Wings picked up that Necrophos last pick. They picked it into the Pugna. I think they have a plan here. I think they have a very clear strategy. I just not entirely sure what it is, but I'm going to have faith in Wings.
All right, well, Wings versus Fnatic. Who takes the lead to try to secure a spot in the finals here at ESL One Manila 2016? As we jump into the game, we're going to go over to our commentators as we load in to the very first one.
Thank you very much, Chober, and indeed, we're ready with the first game of the first series here, the final day of ESL Manila, Fnatic versus Wings. I'm OD Pixel, I'm going to be joined by Mount and Mr. Ben Malini Wu for this game. And guys, what's some picks we've got? Again, Wings turning up with something a little bit different. Yesterday, the carry Veno coming through. Today, carry Necrophos.
That is even sweeter than the Venomancer. I normally don't say that because Venomancer is a great hero, right? But Necrophos, like I just told Ben when the draft was going on, is one of the coolest heroes to have into the late game, strictly because he's the only one who has the ability to counteract buyback through Aghanim Scepter. So really a interesting pickup. I'm happy to see the versatility in the picks this tournament.
But at the same time, we're theory crafting last pick. It's like, oh, what's good versus Necrophos aside from everything?
I mean, the final pick from Fnatic being that Vengeful Spirit. Do you like that, Ben? Can you see why they would have opted for that,
yeah.
You know, considering the Necro pick?
I think if they didn't have the Beastmaster, they could have opted for something similar in like a Bat Rider. I think he's really good versus Necrophos because Necrophos out of position is just a dead Necrophos, regardless of whether or not you have, you know, Mech, Atos, those sort of items that you want to build to make them nice and tanky.
We're going to see a little bit of a kerfuffle around the top rune spot. Wings trying to come in close, but Venge looks like he's going to be getting the positioning and will get stunned up. Innocence gets in and he does manage to grab himself the barrier, but he's getting bursted low. Innocence gives up first blood. Fnatic, DJ picking it up for the team, and now Wind Ranger, he's got to run. He's got the fair fight. Good job he had that. He would have gone down otherwise, and he will be able to win run away. DJ continues to try and chase, but he's going to get held back at the same time. IO chasing down Shadow. He's going fairly deep. DJ still giving it some here onto Ice. Jen versus Enchantress. Necrophos will salve up, and DJ just forcing Ice right back here. And what a start there for Fnatic. Wings, they're able to secure themselves the bounty room, but in return, DJ picking up first blood on the edge. Was still not stopped here in the mid lane with the magic missile into the blast on Innocence. He himself getting forced right back, and it's all go, go, go at the moment. And as the lanes settle, we'll indeed be seeing this matchup in the mid lane. Pugna versus the Wind Ranger. We'll see how much help both of them receive from their teammates. But in terms of lanes, Ben, is there anyone that you're favouring here? Who's come out on top in the early game in terms of draft?
I think that Wings are already kind of under the gun to deal with the pressure from DJ. It was funny when Purge was talking about it. It's like, oh man, Chrissy was wrecking us in KDL. I remember asking Blitz about it. I was like, oh man, this Chrissy guy, he's really good. And then Blitz is like, no, he just spammed Bat Rider to 7K. I'm like, how ironic.
Well, look at this. I mean, straight away, Wings smoking up to the bottom, leading in with the line. 3-4-3, getting bursted low, and they'll find it. Wings pick them up a kill onto the board. Very early smoke, nice one, but meanwhile, top lane. One of the weaknesses here of the Necro, leaves that man alone, and he is incredibly susceptible to getting ganked to the early levels now.
Yeah, it's especially hard when you're running into a double creep Enchantress, even better than a Chen in the early game. I really like the aggression coming out from Wings with the early smoke, though. Normally, you'll see Chen typically occupy his own jungle for up until level 3. There's very few who goes for that level 1 smoke gank. Necrophos already in danger again, though.
Oh, this is not a great situation for Shadow to be in. DJ chasing him down here, forcing the Necro back. In comes the Lion, will lead him with a stun. Baby's going to TP in as well. DJ fairly low at the depot, is chasing him around here with the right click, so he will go down here. They'll lose one. Fnatic by Ohio trying to find Shadow in return. Can he get the kill on the Necro? Pops the very final, get it, the final touch, but he does pay with his life. So on this top lane, Fnatic this time getting punished. I mean, they are killing this Necro, but they're losing heroes in return. Is it worth it, Ben?
Definitely. Look at Necrophos' items. He doesn't even have boots, and we're talking about a phase boost on Enchantress. He's level 2.
I mean, the thing is, this is the very early game, so with this current patch and meta, it doesn't really matter too much that you die this often. We've even seen, like, a year and a half ago, how Sumail played it, right? He could have 3-4 deaths early on and still come back. Necrophos doesn't really possess the same ability as Storm Spirit or Zeus to do that kind of burst damage where you just get a lot of kills. But even then, you know, it's not that big of a deal that he dies right now because he didn't have any income anyways, and he'll be back to the lane and can start farming up again. And the aggression is probably going to die down a bit now.
He doesn't have any levels though. He's not even level 3. I think that's the biggest issue. He's like a level 1.5 behind the Beastmaster.
But Lion is there to help him support and do the pulls, so he will catch up eventually. I mean, it's not ideal by any stretch, but
he's already underhanded in the matchup though versus Pugna because he needs a lot of items to counteract the Pugna ward.
Oh yeah, but they're playing 2 different positions, so Pugna was going to outlevel him regardless.
I mean, in terms of items for the Necro, you know, you mentioned obviously Standard sometimes getting the mech, but he's got a Chen on his lineup. I mean, what do you expect to see Shadow kind of build early on this game? Is he going to look for the positioning items like the Blink? I mean, how soon are we going to see the Ags come out in his progression?
I think he needs to play the tank type of hero in this matchup. When you look at their lineup, Chen is already counteracted pretty well through the Enchantress and the Pugna.
DJ coming in with the creeps, and it's going to be another one for Fnatic. DJ just putting in the pressure on this top lane with the help of Ohio, and now with the ball slow, they might even try and look for another one. There's the Satai blast from DJ. It's on point. Shadow being forced back behind the tier 1, and Fnatic with a double kill on Ohio. They've TP'd in, but now DJ turns around, heals up the Satai blast, bringing it down, and they'll get another for Fnatic. DJ on this Enchantress creating so many issues for the side of Wings. 3-1-3 at the moment on the Ench, involved in all 6 kills, 4 minutes in.
Shadow just not respecting the damage output coming up from 2 Satyrs with those shockwaves, and then of course the Quill Beast that's going to slow him down sufficiently. And DJ went phase boots on the Enchantress. His damage output right now is ridiculous.
I mean, they have to do something about it though. You can't just sack this tower and sack a Necrophos. Necrophos is not a hero that you can sack in this lineup at all.
No, like, they definitely need to react, but the thing is, Shadow just stood in the lane. Like, he sees Lion die, and he still remains in the creep wave rather than running back to the tower and respecting the damage output.
Dire's bottom tower
I think he just really wants his farm, though. He's like, you know, when you're in this sort of situation, you're like, man, I just need some sort of level, some sort of gold.
It's just a typical carry position to take, Ben.
I know. I feel for him.
My death is okay. I was trying to get last hits. That's not how it works. You learn more not dying.
At least he's starting to get a few level shadows now, level 4, but at the same time, that's the same as DJ. DJ at the moment getting so much from finding these kills. 5 minutes in as well, the mid-tier 1. Pugna's been putting on a lot of pressure. We're going to almost certainly see that fall very shortly after a few more pushes. In terms of CS though, Rim Ranger, Blink still finding a decent amount of farm against the spam of the blast from mid 1.
And despite Bjarn's death, he's actually doing really, really well, and the Nature's Prophet didn't have much contest on the bottom lane, and he got a kill on the top lane, so he's 5.5.
This is a nice wraparound for Wings. Ohio, he doesn't have DJ around to help him out this time, and leading in with the net. Wings, fantastic rotation, punishing the Beastmasters. Depth there in the lane, and they will find it. Faith Bjarn coming in as well to join in a bit of that action. So Wings trying to recover this top lane here to make life a little bit easier for the Necro.
And they do have, yeah, they're gonna go for the tower push. It's 20 seconds before the Beastmaster is back, and they have a Basilisk.
Well, there's 3 heroes wrapping around the mid lane trying to pressure this Wind Ranger.
Ranger's got a DD. Blink. He's just going to try and go for this. There will be a Haunt. Power shot actually connecting. And 3-4-3. He gets the magic missile out, but he's going to get taken down. And now, Roshan! He's a Fnatic fan! Oh, that bat! Oh. Right. Looks like Roche put some money on Fnatic before this game. That was all right.
That's actually disastrous for Wings because they lose the middle tower as well. That death on Wind Ranger in itself isn't that important. It's of course unfortunate, but the fact that they give up the mid tower uncontested really ruins the progression of the map movement moving forward in this game. Oh, what a disaster for them.
Oh, really, really unfortunate. I mean, at least he gets a kill on the way down there, Blink on the Wind Ranger, taking down the Venge, but as you said, a trade that Fnatic, they're still going to be happy with. Phase Boots now picked up on that.
Yeah, he had to know they were making a move to the mid lane, but I think with Wind Run plus TP, he'd feel pretty safe.
That's the thing about playing up against the Pugna, right? It's probably the hero that'll push down your tower the fastest, so you can't really afford leaving the lane. The second you do, you're going to risk losing the tower, and we're 7 minutes in.
Top lane, the Necro Shadow, he's getting really good CS now. I mean, he's considering the way that the game started, he's now net on net with net. So
that's their next focus, though. They're going to try and limit his farm, take over his jungle, and then keep control of that side of the map with Beastmaster and Spec to come in as necessary.
I mean, he has got, of course, his level 6 as well, the Necro. So if he gets some backup, he might be able to do.
Nah, you're out of there.
Some work, but yeah, he's gone.
They know that they're going to concede the tower, but it's way worse to give up your Necrophos and concede the tower.
So Fnatic, we're going to look for the tier 1 push top. At the same time, Wings, you see it edging elsewhere across the map, looking to put a bit of pressure onto bottom.
If you look at bottom, Net is slowly burying himself into the woods and up behind Wings, so it looks as if they're going to try and defend the tower on the bottom lane, potentially.
They can't, though. Like, Pugna's not a hero that you can just TP in, right? You'll just get massacred. You need to set up with positioning.
If Pugna had TP'd on the second tower by now, they could have. It's too late now, I agree. Beastmaster could have TP'd in on the tier 1 if Pugna had already prepared himself and TP'd in on tier 2. That would have actually been a really good fight for them.
Oh, it's the TPs. Indeed, as you said, Mount Net looking to set this up, gets the dagger out, and now into the Roar, straight onto Shadow. Wave of Terror, Axis flying through. Shadow getting taken down, and Fnatic managed to hold the tower very, very nicely there with the reaction on the bottom lane.
That's a really good read by Fnatic, because Wings kind of half committed to the bottom tower, sending 3 heroes to the mid lane, 2 heroes to the bottom, and kind of exposing them.
Here's your Haunt for Net. We'll see what they try and go for. He's going to jump in, looking for the line, and he'll get it with the help of the blast. Ice, going to try for the TP out. He's going to make it. Oh, 25 HP. The Chen just getting himself back to base. But again, it's the Spectre. Every time that Haunt's available, getting himself in and getting himself a kill each and every time.
Super hard to fight under that Pugna ward, though. Like, Lion could barely get any spells off. He probably wanted to get Finger off before he died, but no chance.
Yeah, and then Wings will be playing this game from behind now. They've given up too much map control already. They're going to lose the last tier 1 tower as well. And that's really hard up against a Beastmaster and Spectre lineup. You normally want it the other way around, where you can keep TPing to lanes and help out each other and make sure that the enemy isn't ganking. They're going to be so very limited in how much they can actually farm now. Does get the deny.
Yeah, still goes. He got it anyway, but then the Fortify came through. So there was actually an extra chance there for Fnatic to maybe even find that. Necrobook now going to be done on the Beastmaster.
Their lineup's not very well suited for this sort of position, though. I think they need to regain some control of the Radiant jungle at this point, because like when you have a Wind Ranger and a Necrophos versus a Spectre, and then you have a Pugna to deal with if you don't have BKBs, you have Enchantress who has a lot of farm, like you're not feeling comfortable at all heading into the mid game. So
for Roche, I guess they can do it relatively quickly, but at least they've got a lot of tank here, so they're not going to be taking much damage themselves. But in comes the skeleton. Spooky, scary, spawning out, so Fnatic know what's up.
Yeah, they know they're in a very desperate position. The gold lead isn't that bad. It's only 2,000 for Fnatic, but given their heroes, Wings, I think, should have been much more ahead in this early game.
Oh, this line's deep, but he's looking at the moment, Fnatic. They don't have any vision up here on the high ground, but if Ohio comes around... Oh, yeah, hasn't got the Hawk out at the moment.
Oh, wow, I thought the blast might have actually hit in this instance.
He's just holding his breath here, the Lion. No, I think he's fine. He's got a TP as well, so I think as close as he is, Fnatic unlikely to just check in this spot. We'll see
Oh,
him.
oh.
Oh no, if he comes out though, now he's been spotted. He's actually going to try for the killer with a finger. Has he got enough damage? He's got the Hex out as well. One more, the Nature's Wrath will do it. Now he's looking for the TP out. He's going to make it as well. Innocence there with the plays, but it's now Fnatic looking for a return kill, and they'll get it raw onto the Nature's Prophet. They'll end a 1-for-1 there. The mid laner there for the off laner.
Bit of miscommunication on Wings' end. Innocence doing the right play and TPing out, and then by the time Bjarne realizes that he didn't even need to help outside of the Nature's Wrath, he was already in too deep and couldn't TP.
Necro's making really good, or Fnatic's making really good progression on their Necro too. So this is really good because they need to keep pressure up on the Necrophos, make sure that he's always scared of Haunt, make sure that he's always scared of a Beastmaster about to roar him on his side of the map. So both teams working towards a mech, a little bit delayed with the Pugna Death, and Ice Ice is a little bit behind on his too.
It's unfortunate with this Rose attempt. Had the tables been turned, Fnatic could have actually continued taking down Rose, and then if Wings contested, then fought them, just simply because of the Nether Ward and then the Raw from Beastmaster. They just have the better teamfight control at present time. It's going to be a while before Wings can actually match them in 5-on-5 aggression. It's going to be a long while, actually. Nature's Prophet and Necrophos just aren't suited for it yet.
I will see if off towards the mid as Wings covers 3 at the same time. Fnatic are looking for anything at the moment. I mean, in terms of the drafts this game, Ben, do you feel that anyone's on a certain timer, really? I mean, are you looking at the Necro and saying, going late against the Spectre, incredibly risky? Yes, the Spectre's going to kind of out-DPS you, but at the same time, one good Necro could win you the game.
I'd actually say it's slightly more risky for Fnatic because, like, Spectre's, I think one of his biggest late game strength is being able to, like, get an Aegis and then just die twice in fights, and then third time just haunt and buy back, and then you just, there's no way that you can deal with that, except with a Necrophos Ags. So, that's kind of a far-fetched scenario, but if it gets, 40, 45 minutes, you will see the Scepter. But at this point in the game, when you see supports buying Brazers, we see one on Vent, we see one on Lion, it's that point in the game where everything's still really, really tight.
Yeah, I think if Wings had been in control, this would have actually looked dire for Fnatic. They definitely do not want to go.
Oh, that Shackle coming in just in time to interrupt the TP, but Net, he'll horn himself out towards Shadow and daggers himself across. Nice play from Net there to get himself out of a 4-man gank looking for the Spectre kill at the top lane.
That's a really nice move by Wings, though. Like, if you see the Spectre on the map, you generally think, like, you don't sit behind the Spectre. He's one of the cores that you don't need to sit behind at all. You generally make an aggressive maneuver with the other 4. They were actually smoked, rotating around the Dire Ancients and waiting for Spectre to haunt in. But if you just go to the Spectre himself, unfortunately, you need, 4 or 5 heroes there, or he'll just haunt out. He was actually pretty close to getting Reapered.
Yeah, he was very close. The problem with this is they can't really get any objective from this. The fact that Spectre ulti is down will just ensure them that they probably won't get ganked around the map, or at least not in a team fight perspective, but they can't get the middle tower, which is their next objective, right? The second they break down that tower, the map opens up for them and they can reliably gain more control. But again, going into the late game, Wings is going to be very confident with that. Shackle Shot on the Wind Ranger can take down targets so very fast. Nature's Prophet constantly pushing out side lanes. And then, of course, as we've talked about several times now, the Necrophos, the Reaper side for the late game.
But all the farm is really close. Like, the top 5 net worth is all within, like, 500 of each other at this point. So it's not like Spectre's getting ridiculously big. Everyone's just underfarmed at this game.
I mean, looking at how high at the moment, in terms of the build for the Beastmaster, it seems that we've seen a lot of games recently where Blink is kind of prioritized over finishing that book free. Is there any reason this game why we might see Fnatic go for the Blink earlier? Do they need that early catch on the Beast, or is it better to just improve the push and the DPS?
Blink's, I think, a little bit better because Chen can steal your Necro creeps, as well as there not really being any invisible threats to deal with at the moment. They already have pretty good ward coverage. The Sentry mid will immediately deward this Obs.
Hens could take it right back, though.
Yeah.
I think they will go for the Book 3 rather than the Blink Dagger, just because they want to start pushing the Tier 2 towers. And I think they can siege through the Nether Ward. Like, they can force Wings to, first of all, be reactive.
Top lane, I mean, Wings are trying to go in here. They're not going to connect the Shackler now. They need to be careful because Net haunting in will get stunned up, but the impetus flying through. Innocence getting low and will get taken down. And will never kill it for the Spec. Then they try and get more of the swap from 3-4-3. Bring it back the Wind Ranger. There's your roar, and it's going to be a second one for Fnatic. Wings looking for the play there up top. It was only the 2 of them. Fnatic, they see that opportunity to just jump straight back in at them.
And even then, it was on Avenge, right? Like they're desperate to try and look for kills, and they were looking for the Spectre on top. Like ideally, you want to kill a Spectre up there, and then like no one can get in as fast as a Spectre. But if you're ganking someone else, Spectre will be there instantly. Someone else is there in 3 seconds, and suddenly it's a 3-on-2.
Yeah, the risk reward just isn't worth it in that situation. Lion is great of getting that 1 kill and just immediately retracting, but in this situation, they were right next to a tier 2 tower, and as Ben rightly pointed out, it wasn't the Spectre that they went on.
I think they just need slightly more farm on the Wind Ranger, and then once she gets enough farm, they can actually do Roche pretty quickly with Chen creeps and Focus Fire.
Would you go straight Axe now, or would you get a Blink on her? Because I think they also heavily rely on her getting the shackle shots off. Like right now, the only control is the Lion.
Yeah, I think because Lion Blink is not a real possibility at this point. He's sitting at 200 gold. I think she does need it, unless they get the Roche.
She needs to serve as the initiator, right?
Depends on what they're looking for. If they're looking for picks on spec, yes. If they're just looking for 5-on-5 siege with Necro for sustain and Chen with his mech and his ult, then it's a little bit different.
Fnatic, they might try and do something here. You've got 4, now it's going to be 5. Deep into the tier 2. They're going to jump in time. Wings getting it low, and they will be able to find themselves Roche and get themselves the Aegis. The question is, Fnatic, do they want to try and fight this one? Pugna Ward's been laid down on the right. Still 10 seconds now before the horn is up. Now comes the ult here, and they're going to get the Pugna. 70 seconds on the sidelines for that man. Now Fnatic trying to hit back, looking for Shadow. They'll punish too. And they try and find themselves more out of this horn. It is up. Does Net want to try and use it to connect for more eyesight? Can they get the nails in time? No, they didn't have the vision. It's going to be gone. So it's a 2-for-1. But Wings, they do manage to land that Reaper Scythe on the Pugna and knock him out for a good minute, 17 minutes in.
I know we just criticized the gank on the Vengeful Spirit on the left side of the map, but it actually might have been like a long play from Wings, because they actually took down the Roche in between the haunt timing. So like let's say they do sacrifice one hero on the left side. They didn't want the Wind Ranger to die, but let's say they sacrifice Lion for a few TPs and a haunt, and then try and go for Roche. Because the mid T1, I think it's...
The objective trade is definitely worth it in that case, so good read by them.
I don't know if it was planned before the gank, but they definitely took advantage of the haunt being down at that point. That was a very tight window that they had to go for the Roche.
Yeah.
Higher, very close now to that, to having the money for that book-free Necro, so it's going to be good timing here for the Beastmaster. As you said, still Lion, a little bit poor in the department of working towards his. Yeah.
I question when Wings can actually start fighting them on even terms 5-on-5. It just seems as if Netherward and Beastmaster right now is way too much for them to actually handle.
They eliminated the Pugna really quickly in the team fight, though. Mid one has to be very careful. He was like down in the river, he got shackled, and then him and his ward immediately died. I mean, they still did okay in the fight, but that's a lot of their damage at this point. I think they could take fights pretty soon. Like, Spectre is not out of control. He's not nowhere even close to that point.
Right now, it all comes down to whether Chen and Necrophos can keep the lineup alive.
What build do you go for on Necro here?
For the Necrophos? He has a casual cloak. I mean, HP. I still think he needs to be...
there's a smoke maneuver towards mid.
Let's see what they can find it. 3 of them.
Oh, he went for the blink.
Looking towards the Wind Ranger. Can they get the lead in? Out they come. There's the swap back into the Roar. Not a chance for Windrun or anything, and the Aegis is gone. Question is, can they stick around for round 2? They drop the Pugna Ward, and then the Necro units in. He's going to get the Windrun out here, buying himself some time. Now comes the Horn, trying to move forward with the mechs, popped by Wings. They're going to have quite a bit of sustain here. Jen's falling low. Innocent's trying to frontline. Fire shot will finish off the Pugna, but it's a 2-for-1 as DJ moving in. He's going to see if they can get more. There's a DD at the moment on Wind Ranger, but the Necro coming out, it's not enough iron. He survives. The Necro does still go down ultimately, but it's a 4-for-2. They're looking to make it a team wipe, but they will. Fnatic there, absolutely destroying Wings. Oh, and you can see with the golden XP from that one, pretty much the biggest fight we've seen so far this game, and absolutely huge stuff for Fnatic, and the kicker for Wings as well. They throw out the Reaper's ult, but it doesn't get that finishing touch onto the Beastmaster.
And again, a perfectly executed fight by Fnatic. Wings were not prepared. They're like, are they really going to make a move on the Wind Ranger in the mid lane? And at the end of the day, like they're forced to fight under Pugna Ward. They just swapped and roared, and then right after that, they like haunted in, and you're forced to fight under your T2 under the Pugna Ward, and that was just what they were looking for.
Yeah, and Innocence just dies off right away. He does commit his finger of death to kill off the Pugna, and normally that would be a great trade, but then basically everything you have is by then over. And Nature's Prophet can't do anything against an Enchantress. It's probably one of the worst heroes because he's a ranged hero, so he'll just keep on taking these impetus hits from the Enchantress. He went down immediately, and he can't return the damage at all because of Untouchable. So Jan is just a void hero in these 5-on-5 engages.
Yeah, listen, it's second on the net worth there. Level with the Nature's Prophet, less than 1,000 away from having Ags on top of Phase Drums, Dragonlance, 21 minutes in. It's been a very, very good game for DJ top lane. Eyeing up Shadow, Spec. He's going to lead in, and Shadow, it's a wise move to try and TP out straight away, and he is just going to be able to get himself out of there. Now, Faith actually coming back in. Just to be honest, seeing if he can get Net. He's going to find him trapped up, but Net himself, he's going to give them a bit of their own medicine and heal. TP himself away from Wings.
I still think that Wind Ranger should have went for the blink over the Ags. It would have made that fight a lot better if they were able to like retreat to the T2 immediately after the Aegis with the blink, and they're also picking up blinks on the Necrophos as well as the Nature's Prophet. So they're looking to, you know, just execute someone really quickly with the Reaper Sight and then get out of the fight and then wait for Shackle or Hex or something to try and reset.
Yeah, I'd rather have seen it differently, so that the Wind Ranger went for the blink deck and then maybe the Necrophos went for the Axe, because I don't think he's tanky enough for him to justify blinking in just yet. Like
well, I think in a team fight, no, but I think what they're aiming for is less sort of large-scale engagement.
Yeah, pick-offs and then Nature's Prophet TPing in.
Oh, and again, Necro out of position here as 3-4-3 and a higher come wrapping round. At mid-ward there for the side of Fnatic, where they took down that tier 2 of Wings, allowing them to find kills like this now. Towards the mid, Nat has to be careful. There's a fair few members of Wings pushing in, and talking about pushing in. Same time, Fnatic on the bot lane. They're going right up to the high ground here. They do have a Horn available if they want to try and kick off a fight as well at this point. And
I don't think Wings can do anything about it. As long as Netherward is down, I think Fnatic can safely keep on pushing.
Wind Ranger nearly killing herself there to the Netherward. Incredibly close. 89 HP.
They're just not respecting a lot of the points of the lineup, though. They were like waiting to TP back, but you're up against a Beastmaster and a Pugna. If you're not there, your tower's going to be dead. By the time they TP back to us, at like 25%.
He's unable to deal with this ward at the moment. I'll send in the ward will time out itself. As you can see already, just spamming the blast in. Fair bit of damage does these racks. Fnatic, though, they're not going to stick around here.
Necrophos resurrects, and there's a full Aghanim's for the Enchantress lying in base. So they're not in rush. They know they have complete control of the game right now, and that Wings can't fight them in a 5-on-5.
And Radiance is almost up on that. The Courier did die, but did not contain his relic, so just
oh wow, he went for the straight Radiance as well. Yeah. This is looking really grim for Wings.
Yeah, and now like all the blinks are just going to be useless in team fights. So they're going to have a lot of sunken gold into items that aren't going to help them out that much.
And while everyone on Fnatic is playing this great, it really all stems from the control that Beastmaster also offers, right? There is zero vision for Wings. They actually have it so deep that these wards that they have on the Radiant side of things are almost irrelevant, because how often is Fnatic playing from a position where they're in their own jungle? They're playing on the Dire side of the map constantly. They keep ganking very deep right outside the Dire base. These wards don't really offer anything in comparison to what Fnatic gets out of the map, and especially through that Hawk vision as well.
And they finished up at Aether Lens on Pugna. Not the most expensive pickup, but still crucial and instrumental to their siege to the high ground. Because Pugna only has 900 HP at this point. Like maybe a defensive swap can save him, but he needs to make sure that he can blast a tower and not be in blink initiation range.
As long as they're not sieging base at this point in time, as long as he gets the Nether ward down, it doesn't really matter too much whether or not he dies afterwards.
Yeah, they still want to continue and like, you know, get buildings and get racks though. Like
yeah.
you want him alive. He's your siege engine.
Yeah, definitely. And sure, he's the mech carrier, but again, it's right now Spec and Enchantress and their damage output is ridiculous.
This Spectre has certainly got out of hand, as you said, with this Radiance timing, 24 minutes in on top of the phase, Yashi drums. It's going to be so hard for Wings to fight any time that the Horn is online, and level 16 as well. Duration is certainly going to be that. I mean, if Shadow can hit a huge Reaper's ult, you know, which is what they need essentially at this point. They need to do something to shut down the Spectre.
He's the roar target though, or the swap in.
Yeah, they just jump straight in, absolutely. Necro always getting disabled.
Jan close to being caught out. Tough blink.
Courier.
Yeah, the analysts were like, oh, you know, are they really sure they want to pick Chen into the enchant? And you know, this is one of the reasons why your early game is already limited, which is one of Chen's strengths, and then like late game, the enchantress is just so much more useful.
Oh, and here we go with the horn. They found Blink here, hiding in the sidelines net. He'll jump himself straight over. Look at the TP out, and oh no, the swap's there, just in time. 3-4-3, holding the Wind Ranger back, and that is going to be 50 seconds for this man on the sidelines. We'll see how much the side of Fnatic can achieve during this time.
And you see the immediate response is just Bjarne tipping to the top lane, knowing that all of Fnatic was just seen on the bottom lane. There's no tower for them to TP in on, and there's no Spectral. So right now they just want to try and control the map by pushing out at least 2 waves, buying themselves time essentially, because they do still have a shot at the late game. They just can't fight Fnatic at all right now. And if Fnatic assembles and pushes base, which it looks to be right now, actually Spec is going back.
Nature's Prophet is really strong though. He has a Mjolnir, so.
Yeah, but he can't fight anyone. Like, he can only do pickups. In a straight 5-on-5, both Beastmaster and Enchantress and Spec for that matter is just gonna run into him and kill him basically.
Well, this is about as good as it's gonna get. Spectre without Haunt for 60 seconds, looking for 45 outside their base with a Wind Ranger respawn. But Fnatic likely not giving them that opportunity.
Absolutely, just playing it safe as you said, holding on for that Rose champ.
And call me old-fashioned, Ben briefly mentioned this. I think picking Chen into an Enchantress is...
They want to make a statement, Jacob.
It's...
We're not scared.
How do I put this mildly? I think it's stupid. That's how mildly I can put it. But especially because they pick it on their first pick. I don't think there was any rush of picking it. I think they could have sat back, probably waited a bit. Maybe they just didn't have a better answer.
Well, still 30 seconds left on Haunt. Wings, again, trying to capitalize on that tiny timing, or Haunt isn't up.
Or maybe with this wraparound they can try and catch them off. Innocence leading across the mid lane here, but Fnatic hiding in the trees. Netherworld's down. Now the ping's coming out. DJ with the impetus hits. Oh, the damage! Monster kill streak for the man, and now the swap back onto the Chen. Chen being blocked up by Ohio, being sucked off by mid-one, and impetus damage from DJ. Now godlike on his Enchantress. I mean, this man, he's had an absolutely fantastic game on Ench. I mean, even to the point where, I mean, if you're Wings, do you let Fnatic have the Enchantress again this series?
Had to have better solutions than this, I would say, in the early game at least. But I mean, I was more impressed by how they dealt with that smoke maneuver. They're like, okay, 20 seconds left on Haunt, they're probably going to do something, and then they were all in the trees with vision at every angle that Wings could have approached from. And on top of that, they were close to the T2, where Spectre was on the T2 on the left side. So even if they do take a fight, he doesn't have Haunt, but he can still be there in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, Fnatic is just playing this great on all accounts. They are methodical. They wait, they're patient, they do everything right, they don't give Wings any openings. Now they take down Roshan, and this is probably gonna spell. The thing is, they still have these lanes constantly pushing in part because of Nature's Prophet. So they wanna have at least 2 of them pushed out sufficiently for them to actually just go down through either the bottom lane where the tower is already gone, or up through mid.
But now who do you Reaper? Is it worth Reaping the Spectre or the Ench? Like, they definitely want the streak, though. He's beyond godlike. He's like, you know, pretty 1,500 gold for them.
They're going to try and lead in onto Net. It's a nice shackle to set this one up, Faith. Johnny in as well, but Net, he does have the horn. He's going to get himself out, but no, the Reaper's on point! And that is 100 seconds for this Spec out of the game, and they are the plays that Wings needs to keep themselves in that one. I mean, it's just so game-changing. That 1-0, absolutely disgusting. Poor old Spec.
That is a long time. It's actually...
He might be back for game 2.
It's definitely great for buying time if there's no buyback on the Spec. He's 300 short of it, and even then he wouldn't commit it, just because there's probably no risk of Wings pushing into the base. There's a Blink deck up on the Vengeful Spirit now, so a lot of catchability. Gotta be careful now, though. They see him.
Oh. Under attack.
Jumping past them here, but as you said, I mean, Wings, they're going to look to try and get as much as they can do during this window. 60 seconds. I mean, as you said, maybe maybe still a little bit apprehensive whether the Spec does have the buyback available. You know, it wasn't.
He used Haunt though. He used Haunt before he died, so this is why Wings are just like not that scared. Still has sufficient time to back off.
Oh. Nice swap onto Faye for us, well, but he will get forced up. These impetus damage so much from DJ. Magic Missile coming through. Oh, he gets sent back there. The save from Chen. Beautifully done. Very nice play from Wings. as Fnatic try to just unload themselves onto the Nature's Prophet, but the saves are there.
Yeah, I was about to say they had to be careful about overcommitting because Lion wasn't a part of that fight. He was farming out the bottom lane, very close to that blink dagger. Might sell his mango for it.
I mean, at the moment, the Lion, yeah, he's going to pick it up now. So with that, in respect, or they're going to have that extra catch out to allow himself to jump in, especially get the burst out alongside the Reaper's Scythe. We could certainly be seeing some more big ults coming out from Shadow this game.
They don't actually have one of the best counters to the Reaper Scythe, which is the Glimmer Cape.
Yeah, no one's building it. No.
Yeah, I was thinking the Vengeful Spirit would have gone for it, but they're gonna go for the all-out aggression and have that blink dagger up on her for the catch and the swap.
I mean, but that fight set them back like a good 4 minutes, I would say. So like I think, I mean, maybe in a larger scale team fight they
definitely 2 minutes. I don't know about 4. That seems a bit.
I mean, they lost. They had to push out all their lanes. Like there's no Roach to take care of. They were able to set down wards on the side of Fnatic's map, even though they were dewarded shortly thereafter by the Necro.
Wings. Oh, this is nice as well, Fnatic. They might get a false sense of security as they've sent the Hawk out, but of course the smoke's there. Now Ice he's going to grab it for themselves. Wings. They're going to be able to get the jump in, coming in, jump forward. The Shackle not going to latch though. So they can't find the enemies to commit, and in fact Fnatic, they're going to horn up, they're going to try and fight back into this one net. It's actually going into the middle of them, pops the man to start, the mech's been popped by Wings, but Shadow roared up and he's taken down. No Reaper side this fight. The swap back onto Faith, being beat down upon by DJ. They'll find themselves a third or fourth, and Net looking for the 2-1 magic missile, they'll do it again. Fnatic wiping Wings. And now with the push onto the bottom, they'll get themselves at least one set of racks here, of course. With the Beast, with the Venge, with the Necros, they've got a hell of a lot of pushing power. Wings, I mean, are they even going to be back up for one more fight? They've still got a tier 2 on the top lane, so Fnatic won't be able to get Megas, but they may be able to just get the game. Straight to the tier 5, and GG's cool. It's all too much. And Wings, we see them get one big Necro, but they needed a few more really to kind of bring themselves back into this game as Fnatic. I mean, Net and DJ, of course, just having such a performance at the start, and it was never stopped.
Yeah, definitely a very dominant team to watch. They're a pleasure to watch as well because they play so aggressively and they know what to do. They play Dota on a very high level. A bit unfortunate for Wings in this last fight. Shadow just completed his BKB, so he didn't have the buyback and he didn't use the BKB. Potentially a dead item throughout the game. Great play by Fnatic.
Yeah, they had 4 blinks and a BKB. That's like 13,000 gold that they couldn't use because of the Spectre Haunt and then the Roar. That's a little sad to watch.
Yeah, a bit questionable on the itemization.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think talking about the itemizations, you guys mentioned just the choice for Net to go Radiance, something that we don't see every day, you know, in terms of, you know, a lot of fans of the Diffusal, the Hearts, the Mantas, but Spectre with the Radiance doing it for them. As you said, pretty much nullifying a lot of Wings items, and we're going to go to a short break, but we'll be back soon for Game 2 to see if Fnatic can do it again, if Wings can bring it back. Maybe with something fun again. We've seen them try out the carry Venom, that worked. The carry Necro didn't work. We'll see what Wings have up their sleeves for Game 2 right in a minute. We'll have a short ad break. We'll see you guys soon.